Yo, what's up? I'm Josh. I play guitar in the band Malevolence. We're out here on tour in Utrecht in Tivoli. Lovely new venue. I get a lot of questions about the gear that I use on tour, so I'm not much of a gearhead, but I'll try my best to explain it. So follow me through. I'll show you my guitars. This one is the newest edition. It's a LA custom shop Ibanez. I've played Ibanez for a few years now. They're my favorite guitars. I hope to continue the relationship with the brand and, you know, keep playing them. This was used last night. Still needs a little bit of a clean down. It's probably looking a bit sweaty. But yeah, I'll go through the specs. So standard wizard neck, obviously nice and thin. Prefer the D shape. So it's nice, a bit flatter on the back, you know. Tell by my thumb I've been pressing it against that for a long time, you know. But yeah, maple neck, rosewood fretboard, mahogany body with an ash top. I actually thought it'd be a lot heavier when it came, but it's actually kind of light, which is good. This time I opted to not have a Floyd Rose style bridge. All the other guitars that I own have that bridge. But to be honest, I don't really use it. And just for like tuning purposes and stuff, when you're flying, it's just like a bit easier, you know, and I guess it takes a bit of the weight off as well. But I managed to get the lock-in tuners, which are a godsend. Makes restringing super easy. Like, I don't have a tech, so it's just myself and I doing all the stuff, so that's also fine as well. But yeah, you've got the binding. It's like the off-white binding. Just went for like quite a classic look. I actually based the guitar on the first guitar that I ever got when I was like 7 years old, which is when I started playing guitar. My dad bought me a Squier Stratocaster in Sunburst with the white pickguard. So when Ibanez made me my first custom, I thought it'd be kind of nice to like pay homage to my former self, and also like my dad, like as well, you know, for like him buying me the guitar or whatever. But yeah, just souped it up a little bit. Obviously got the gold hardware because it's just always the best, you know. Only need volume knob. Don't mess about with the tone knob whatsoever. Three-way switch on your pickups. Both DiMarzios. I've got an illuminator in the bridge and a liquefier in the neck. So rarely use the neck that much, to be honest, but clean stuff sounds really nice in the middle and also on the neck. But generally for like the heavier, crispier tones that I use like with Malevolence on the rhythm stuff, it's just straight bridge, you know. So string wise, I've got 12 through to 62. So I use Dunlop strings, great company. They make me the custom gauges. So yeah, it's 12, 16, 20, just plain 20. Don't want any of that wound stuff. 36, 46, 62. But yeah, that's pretty much it for this. I just went for fairly simple, you know, got the nice wood back or whatever. It's bolt on neck. As you can see, nothing too fancy. It's just a really good guitar to play. Feels really nice, and it just stays in tune, cool. It looks nice, which is part of the whole thing when you're playing live, you know. So, so yeah, this is my backup guitar. This is an Ibanez RG 5320 L, obviously, because I'm left-handed. So just add an extra letter onto the code that's already super hard to remember. But this is pretty much just stock, straight off the shelf. Again, I actually based my custom off this guitar because I loved playing this guitar. She's been through the wars a little bit, but it's still perfectly playable and still sounds really good. So yeah, same specs, you know, maple rosewood neck, and then rosewood fretboard, mahogany body. I think it's an ash top as well, but could be wrong there. Just all your standard hardware, really. The pickups, actually really good. DiMarzio Fusion Edge. I've heard mixed reviews about them, but they always work really well for me. I actually wanted to put them in the custom as well, but they've stopped making them, so didn't manage to get those. But yeah, like this one doesn't have the locking tuners. Obviously, you got the Floyd Rose style bridge, and obviously the locking bridge and stuff. Locking nut. But yeah, same string gauges as the custom. It's pretty much all the same. 3-way. You got a coil tap there. Kind of cool. Yeah. Got a bit of padding in here to stop a bit of the ringing on the springs. But other than that, pretty much it really. This one's for some reason way heavier, even though it's the same spec. Who knows? But yeah, that one's my spare. And then last but not least is the 80s classic, the RG550 Genesis. This is like obviously the remodel. It's not actually from the 80s, but looks very 80s. Got this one quite a while ago. I'd just pretty much use it to warm up on now on the tours. Obviously, same again, maple neck, maple fretboard on this one though. As you can see, I've just taken the lock-in stuff off it because just basically just lost them all, I think, along the way. But yeah, not actually sure what the wood is that's used in this, but everything is pretty much just standard, other than the pickups, which were kindly made custom from Legendary Pickups in the UK, in Scotland. And they sound really good, absolutely sick. It's a shame I don't get to use it more live, but I think because of the wood, the guitar's a little bit more resonant, and it's got like a bit of a mid-range to it that isn't particularly what I need for a live setting. But I've used it a lot in the studio and stuff like that as well. And like I say, I pretty much just use this to warm up now. But yeah, standard stuff, tone knob, volume knob. This one's got 5-way, obviously, because you got the single coil in the middle. Same thing really, yeah. Not much else to say about that. It also has this like huge bolt-on thing, which isn't my favorite, to be honest, either. But that's why I moved and changed it when I managed to get customs and stuff like that. But yeah, that's pretty much it for guitars that I've got on the tour. All fairly similar, Ibanez, RG, all the way. It's just my shit, I guess, you know? So, as I said, we're running the Neural DSP Quad Cortexes. I've got 2 for myself. This is my main one in this drawer, and my spare. So they were exactly the same. They run exactly the same tones. Everything's configured exactly the same, all the effects and everything. Literally just, we run an auto switcher, so if this one breaks for whatever reason, it's never done that, touch wood, because they're absolutely sick. But if it does, because it's a computer, this one will just automatically switch. And Con, the other guy in Malevolence, has developed this auto switcher. I don't think at the minute there's really anything on the market that's similar, or if there is, you have to have a million other pieces of gear. So he's killed it with that. He also makes these rig boxes with the drawers. We've got like the Kenton line drivers, and all the MIDI stuff is like patched in here, so it just stays as is. Nice and cool as well, so nothing is overheating. But yeah, we use these because they're compact and easy. Like, my whole rig is just in these 2 boxes. And it means I can have the tones that I used on the record, rather than having to sort of like lug loads of amps around and rely on huge pedal boards full of effects and that you have to keep changing every day, or like revalving and stuff like that. But you've heard all that before. Everyone's fucking onto this digital stuff these days, you know. Still like to use real amps in the studio and stuff, but for this, it's just way easier, you know. And then even if you've got to fly somewhere, I can just take this out of here, put it in my rucksack, and it's done, you know. I've got album quality rig still. So yeah, big shout out to them. They hooked us up. It's cool. But yeah, I still do run a pedal board. Move out of the way a little bit. But it's just a MIDI switcher. So obviously, as you can see, solo, swaps it on there. Lead tones, swaps it on there. clean. You can go up and down your banks. I've got a higher place bank, so it's changed on there, you know, just for certain songs and stuff. But yeah, literally not too much to it. This is all powered down this cat line, and then you've got it's all in one loom. It's literally just one lead from the back of this rig into the pedal board. Got this little Voss TU3 tuner, but I don't need the pedal on it, so it's literally just on, and then that will bypass everything, so I can tune if I need to in between songs. And then just the expression pedal, Mission expression pedal, which is pretty much for me just a wah pedal at this point, but you know, if I needed it to be anything more specific, like volume or like whammy or anything like that, I can just set it whatever I need to on here, configure it all. Bob's your uncle, you know? So yeah, that's pretty much it. Like, it's quite a simple rig. There's not really much else to say about it, but yeah, I appreciate you taking the time to watch. And yeah, if you got any questions or anything, be sure to check out Con's Convict Customs as well, like for his rig boxes and his cases and all that stuff, and his new technology that he's developing is actually really cool and like kind of pushing the boundaries of what can be done. So if it wasn't for him, I would have none of this stuff running. So we've been through the guitars, we've been through the neurals and like the digital sort of tone side of it. Last thing is the cabs. So we've recently just got these cabs. So we got the brand new Laney FR cabs, which have been absolutely sick, to be honest. We haven't been running cabs for a few tours just because we've been supporting a lot more like bigger bands or whatever, and there's rarely very much space or time to fit all the cabs in, so it sort of doesn't make much sense a lot of the time. But that also kind of sucks because we run in ears, which is cool or whatever, but the feeling sort of goes quite a lot, you know, when you're playing on stage and there's literally no air being pushed out or anything. There's no like on stage sound. So it's kind of weird. And then especially if you play in a smaller venue, like the kids in the front row, I don't really know if it's going to sound good, or, you know, if you're like, well, like today, I don't know if you can see, but the PA is like points down a little bit at the bottom. That's good for the crowd because they can hear exactly what's happening. Whereas in a smaller place, you might be kind of in the middle of the room and all you can get is drums, you know? So having a bit of on-stage sound is always good for the crowd as well as the musician as well. It definitely helps me get into it a lot more just because I get the feeling, the stage rumbles, you know, I can hear my guitar, I can get some feedback, whatever. It's just like the noise gate's not going to cut me out straight away, you know, if I've got it too harsh or whatever. But yeah, enough of that. That's the cabs themselves. Laney, obviously we always play Laney. Shout out to Fen, he's always hooking us up. Absolutely love the guy, love the cabs. These are actually like pretty revolutionary. Obviously Laney's traditionally quite a like old school brand, you know what I mean? Like Tony Iommi was like one of the first guys to start using them for metal and stuff like that. So generally very amp cab related, you know what I mean? But the digital age, these have actually like, they've ahead of the curve in that sort of sense, because been working with Devon Townsend, I know he like had a lot to do with these cabs, and they work perfectly with like profilers or your QC or you know, whatever you run in your sort of digital stuff these days. 4x12 standard, you know what I mean? Come with these nice lights underneath, which is actually good for stage, gives you a little bit something different, you know, helps your LD out, adds in some atmosphere. But yeah, standard just looks like a normal cab, but these actually have impulse responses built in. There's two different ones that come standard with, which are both Laney cabs, which you can, you know, choose at your desire. Or it also comes with an app where you can load your own impulse responses onto it, so you can have that if you want, you know? So sort of, you can basically have any cab if you want it, you know, which is sick. But yeah, that's about it for the front. I'll turn the cabs around and show you the back. Little secret. Let you in on a little tour secret. This one hasn't got anything in it. It's fake. Because we're posers. No, I'm joking. Everyone does that. It's just way lighter, easier. Like, you don't need 8 cabs. You know what I mean? It's like deafening. So there's no point. Especially if you're running in ears as well. Like, who cares? It's just for a little bit of on stage sound. And they just look cool. Do you know what I mean? So whatever. This one's empty. It's actually got all the lights built on top of it. And then, you know, like, that's the power. We just store it in there. Easy. You know, you can even store drum cases in there and shit if you need to, you know what I mean? Like afterwards when you're on the travel. Yeah, so like I was saying, there's Laney FR, which stands for full range, flat response. And it's a powered cabinet. So it's actually 2,600 watts if you want it to be. I'm running at number 2 on the volume because it's like super loud, don't need it to be any louder than that for what I need. But yep, engineered in the UK, designed and engineered in the UK. It's powered, so you just got an IEC or a kettle lead, as English people call it, which just powers it, you know, so that's why it's perfect for like, you know, if you've got a Toaster Kemper or a QC that don't have a power amp in them, then, do you know what I mean? You can just power the cab and you can link it all up that way. Here you've got your, there's like a, you can turn your lights on and off if you want, you know, obviously I like to have them on. Your cabinet IRs are here, your impulse responses. So you've got cab A, cab B, or the flat response, and then emulated DI. You can have a DI out if you want, so you can run a different IR out front than what you've got on stage. There must be a reason for that. I haven't explored that personally. But yeah, you've got a high frequency trim as well. So, you know, different rooms need different sort of high frequency trims. You can set that. Mine generally doesn't change too much. But yeah, ground lift, you've got a link as well. So I have this same thing, but again, so it goes from my QC rig in, which is up here, the input. So either female XLR, or you can even input with the jack if you want, which is kind of nice. And then you can link it to the other cab through that. But yeah, like I said, pretty easy. I've just got the volume on number 2. Doesn't really need to go any louder than that. Kind of nifty, you know? It's perfect for like live situations, gives you that nice rumble. Looks cool because you can have some actual like production, I guess, on stage. You get the rumble, like, you know, on stage sound or whatever. People in the front, if you're playing smaller venues, actually get a bit of guitars and not just like blasted by drums. And then, yeah, you've got a lot of flexibility with it and stuff. And, you know, like I said, people like Devin Townsend working on something like that, it's like, you just know it's going to be sick because he knows exactly what he's on about. But yeah, that's it. Shout out to Laney, always. Peace.